Hi, I'm Bob Garrett. At Hackensack Meridian Health, we believe that all residents need to be informed about the important healthcare issues that affect their lives. That's why we're very proud to support the important programming produced by the CAUCUS Educational Corporation.
Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by Hackensack Meridian Health, NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology, Wells Fargo, PSE&G, committed to providing safe, reliable energy now and in the future, the Russell Berry Foundation, Fedway Associates, and by the Fidelco Group. Promotional support provided by Commerce Magazine and by Jaffe Communications, where business, media, and government converge in New Jersey.
This is One-on-One. I'm an equal American just like you are.
The jobs of tomorrow are not the jobs of yesterday.
Look at this. You got this?
Here it is, man. Look at that.
Life without dance is boring.
I don't care how good you are or how good you think you are, there is always something to learn.
Do you enjoy talking politics?
No.
People call me because they feel nobody's paying attention.
Our culture, I don't think, has ever been tested the way it's being tested right now.
Such a good question. High five.
Hi, this is Steve Adubato. I'm at the 9th annual New Jersey Sharing Network 5K. Some people walking, some people running, but all of them, 10 to 12,000 of them, are all involved with the Sharing Network. Giving the gift of life, that's the slogan, but it's way more than a slogan. You got people who are organ donors. You got donor families. You got donor recipients, organ recipients. You've got people who are coming together to make a difference, to share, to cry, to laugh together, to be together. Here in New Providence at the New Jersey Sharing Network 5K, it's going to change the way you look at life and giving back. We are here at the New Jersey Sharing Network 5K. It's the 9th year they've been doing this. We're here with Joe Roth, who is the president and CEO of the Sharing Network. Joe, it's early. The crowd's going to be huge. Tell folks, give them a context, when it started and where we are. What kind of attendance?
Well, we started about 9 years ago, and we expected only 2,000 or 3,000 people. We had about 7,000, and then every year it's grown, and now we average about 10,000, 11,000 people at this event. It's just grown tremendously.
But that's this event. There's another event as well.
Yes, we have a second 5K in Long Branch down by the shore. We had it 2 weeks ago, and it started out, we had about 1,200 people the first year, and now we're up, I think it's the 4th year we're there. And this year, I think we exceeded 5,000 people. It's giving us a little problem about whether we can still have it there because of the size.
Nice problem.
Nice problem.
You know, talk about, in all candor, for those who know our series and know our work, we've had a long-standing relationship, a partnership, a collaboration with the Sharing Network. Their job is to save lives. Our job is to try to talk about the importance of saving lives, public awareness. Go back to the question I ask you every year about the importance of public awareness.
Well, there's still 4,000 people in New Jersey who are waiting for a transplant, and there are 3 or 4 people die every month waiting for a transplant in New Jersey. There are 115,000 people nationally, and so it's important that we keep talking about awareness and educating the public about the need to sign up to register as an organ donor, either on the Motor Vehicle Commission list or the National Registry, or just tell your family that you want to be an organ donor if something terrible were to happen to you.
Make sure you go on the website. Make sure you check it out. Make sure you find out what you need to know. If you've ever been curious, if you said, hey, wait a minute, I hear a lot about this. What about me? How can I be a part of it? Joe, let me ask you this. Where are we in terms of the greatest progress? Yes, there are more people signing up to be donors. There are more people participating in the races, the events of your organization. Where's the other progress?
Well, the progress is in the number of organs that we're recovering and transplanting to save lives. Over the last 5 years, we've increased donation over 35% in just our service area. And it's increasing nationally, too, so the word's getting out. And this year, we're on track to set another all-time record of over 200 donors and over 600 organs transplanted. So we're really working hard, and we're seeing progress here at the Sharing Network.
Joe, let's get into the weeds a little bit. State of New Jersey, it is the Motor Vehicle Commission. Explain to folks, let's get really down to brass tacks. You go, you sign up, you say, all right, I'm going to renew my license. I'm going to get a new license for a younger person or anyone learning to drive. what happens and what is it connected? How is it connected to what you guys are doing?
Well, basically, under state law, you must be asked a question, do you wish the word organ donor to appear on your license when you register or renew? But you can also go online at the Motor Vehicle Commission site, and there's a hot button that'll take you to the site where you can register as an organ donor there. Or you can go other ways. It's outside the Motor Vehicle Commission. For instance, there's a health app on an iPhone now, has organ donor on it, and you can actually sign up to be an organ donor on a National Donate Life America donor registry. So there are multiple ways to do this.
2020 is a big year with something called the Transplant Games, a national event held in New Jersey that you and your colleagues are a key part of. Talk about it.
Well, we're so excited about 2020 because in July of 2020, we're going to host the Transplant Games of America. It's an event that's held every 2 years. It's an Olympic-style event, but it showcases recipients, donor families, people waiting for transplants, and there are different physical activities, athletic activities. And this year we're going to host it in the Meadowlands, and we're just excited about it. One of the key things is American Dream. We expect to be open in 2020, and that's going to be one of the host venues for it, so it's going to be a great place to hold events and for people to visit too. And we're also going to hold it in the Meadowlands Exhibition Center and also all over the state, basically. We're having swimming is going to be right up the street here in New Providence at the Berkeley Aquatic Center, and golf is going to be at Galloping Hill Golf Course in Union, Kenilworth. So
Lots of partnerships.
Yes, lots of partnerships.
Including, to fully disclose, with our not-for-profit, with their not-for-profit. Finally, how important are all these partnerships? You have partnerships with healthcare organizations, with hospitals, hospital systems, all kinds of other folks, with the government itself. Critical.
Absolutely. First off, two of the largest health systems in the state have transplant programs.
The two of the
largest. Hackensack Meridian Health System and RWJ Barnabas Health are where most of the transplant centers in the state are located, and they do a great job. I wouldn't hesitate to go to any one of them for a transplant. We work with the state for all sorts of public policy about registering to be a donor, about getting access to donor information, about the Uniform Anatomical Gift Act, and so on. So we have a strong partnership with both the state and our federal officials, too.
You meet the most amazing people when you get here, and these two young ladies are making a big difference. Their team gets bigger every year. It's Shannon and Kathleen Finnegan, co-captains of the team called?
Linda's Lovies.
And tell folks where that name comes from.
It comes from my mom, Linda, who was an organ donor. She donated both of her lungs, both of her kidneys and her liver, her corneas, and her other tissues.
As I read about your mom, and I want you to talk a little bit about who she was and why she mattered so much and why she has so many friends that are part of this. But did she make it clear that she wanted to be an organ donor?
Always. It was kind of my mom's spirit, giving everybody everything. We kind of had a joke that you couldn't compliment her on anything because she would just give it to you. Like if you're like, "Oh, Mom, I love your shirt," she'd be like, "Here, take it. You can have it." So it was very much her spirit, living and then in death too, which was kind of a nice way to honor her.
Okay, but the two of you made the decision to start this because?
Well, my mom dedicated her life to fitness. She was an ACE-certified aerobic instructor, which she was very proud of. She was also a physical education teacher. And she just wanted everybody to, get pink and sweaty. That's why our shirts are pink. She encouraged people to go out and listen to their body and have fun and get moving. And so when we heard about the 5K, it was a no-brainer to start something that we could bring all of our family and friends together to honor her and get pink and sweaty in her memory.
So getting sweaty in pink is part of the message.
Yeah, absolutely. And this race is great because the 8:30 is a run and then there's the walk too. So it's really lets everyone listen to their body and just do what they're capable of doing.
Love it. How about this? I'm curious about it because you have so many families here and, people who are on the donor end and the recipient end. Kinds of people you've met here, describe them.
Everybody here is so kind, and everybody here is just here for the same reason, and that's to remember the people who gave, honor the people that have received transplants, and raise awareness of organ donation, which I think is another reason why we're here and why we aim every year to have a big team and to spread the message, because it's something that I feel like not everybody talks about, because death is hard to talk about, but this is something so beautiful that can come from death. And I just love meeting all these people and having a community where we can be open about it and also recognize that beauty is in death.
Talk about the Sharing Network.
The Sharing Network is an amazing, amazing organization. From the moment that they connected with us during my mom's accident, they've just shown compassion and kindness, and what they do here is amazing, and we've gotten involved with them, and our family has gotten involved with different aspects of the organization, and it just continues to provide support for us and support for everybody, and we just really love their message.
We're here with Mr. Vernell Williams, who is a heart and kidney recipient as of June 2015. Talk to us, sir. What was your experience?
Well, the wait, waiting, it was the hardest part of everything. And just waiting for that call, I got that call, and that was the best time of my life.
Describe it. What was it like?
Excitement, but then I came to realize that somebody had to pass in order for me to live on. So that was tough. I dealt with that tough. It was like a bittersweet moment,
What does this race mean to you?
Everything. I get to meet the family again.
Yeah, talk about that, the whole family experience.
Oh, what a great family. They opened me with open arms, and we still contact. We're constantly in contact, and it's a beautiful thing,
Talk about the quality of your life today compared to what it was like before that very special date in June 2015.
I'm a Little League football coach, and I coach the ages from 5 to 14. And, during that time, I couldn't be out on the field with the kids. Now, with everything, the new heart and new kidney, I'm able to go back with them, and they're here with me today. And
oh, who's here with you today? Your team?
Yes. Yes, they're here with me today.
Back up their coach?
Yes. Yeah.
What's it like when you're with those kids?
Oh, man, it's very exciting. They keep me going, Got the gift of life, and I'm able to do it again.
To see more one-on-one with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato PhD, and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
We're here with Cheryl Wolf, who is walking or running. Are you walking or running? Which one are you doing?
I'm walking.
Good. That's safer today.
It is safer for everyone.
Describe your team.
We have about 56 people with us today. This is our 6th year participating, and we love it. We have a couple runners, but most are walking.
And the name of the team?
Team Hope Wolf.
Tell us about Hope.
Hope is my daughter. When we were at 12 weeks pregnant, we found out that she had big problems, and we, throughout the pregnancy, found out that she had a lethal skeletal dysplasia, primarily affecting her ribs, which then affected her lungs from developing. And then we didn't know if she would be born alive or not. And so during the C-section, they're like, all right, are you ready? And so they performed the operation, and I heard the most beautiful cry in the whole world, and she was born alive, and we had her for a beautiful 90 minutes. And just prior to the C-section, we had the most amazing nurse at Morristown, and she said, are you interested in organ donation? And it had been something that we were interested in, but never, we had asked, but they said, we don't really think she's a candidate, but, we'll see. And so on the day, we had the best nurse, and she said, are you interested? And we said yes. And she, of course, was affiliated through the hospital with the New Jersey Sharing Network. And she ran out of the room at top speed, and she made a call, and they brought a team over from the New Jersey Sharing Network to the hospital, and Hope was able to donate her liver cells as well as her heart valve. So when they got the call at the New Jersey Sharing Network, they didn't have a grab-and-go bag ready for an infant donation as they do for adults and pediatrics. And so from that day, they have created what they call the Hope Bag, and it's an infant donation bag that they can grab and go should they have an immediate donation need, which is really, really special to us.
Fast forward 5 years. Yeah. What's it feel like being a part of this race?
It's like a homecoming to us. The New Jersey Sharing Network has become a part of our family, a part of our friends' lives as well. It's become such a mission of mine to share the mission and vision of the New Jersey Sharing Network and to be a light for organ donation within our world that we have surrounding us and the influence that we have. It's incredible. I love it. My favorite part is to see the sea of people and all the different team colors and representing lives that have been donated, lives remembered and never forgotten, and lives that are joined together through a living donor and a recipient, as well as giving hope to those who are still waiting for that life-saving gift. It's incredible.
Sorry for interrupting. You have 2 daughters?
I do. I have an 8-year-old and I have a 3.5-year-old. Yeah.
The message that you would like to share with everyone watching right now who is saying, wow, she's so strong, I can't imagine, and whatever else they're saying. But you have a message for them, don't you, in terms of how they can be a part of this gift of life?
I would say, please consider being an organ donor. It is the most incredible gift, and during the hardest days of our lives, I hope, the hardest days, I hope they don't get that dark again for a very long time, having that silver lining of knowing that hope lives on and hope was able to make a difference has just been the greatest blessing to us. I've been able to take our pain. I prayed so hard during our time that we were going through the pregnancy and thereafter, and just praying that God would use our pain for his glory and that we would just be able to make a difference. And I've been able to lead Bible studies and be a support for women going through tragic pregnancies and miscarriages and infant losses. And it's just been an amazing gift to be there in that time of need and just to link arms and walk that sorrow with them. It's been an incredible blessing that I wouldn't change.
At the Sharing Network 5K, you can hear the PA announcer. You can hear people trying to get across the finish line as fast as possible, walking, running. But right now we have Steve Caputo, who is a heart transplant recipient. December 2018, your life changed.
It changed enormously. I had been in the intensive care unit for 40 days and 40 nights. And on the beginning of the 41st day, they put the heart into me in a 4-hour operation. But it was a biblical experience. It was a very spiritual experience with lots of prayers being said for me by many, many people. And it just so happened it was 40 days and 40 nights that I was in the intensive care unit.
Describe what it was like waiting.
Well, I was in bad shape, and I was getting in worse shape every day. My heart function had decreased tremendously, and really they were just trying to keep me going. I was told afterwards that I only had days to go, or else they'd have to put in an artificial heart to try to keep me going until they could find a heart. So it was pretty tough. Although in retrospect, it was the best time of my life. It taught me humility. It taught me a sense of spirituality that I never would have received. And it also gave a lot of people an opportunity to reach out to me and say, hey, we're with you. You were with us when we needed you. We're with you.
The gift of life was given to you.
Yes. I don't know who the donor was, but I'm very grateful. And my goal is in my post-transplant life to make it up to that person.
What do you mean, make it up?
Well, pay that generosity back by helping other people to get hearts, by working for New Jersey Sharing Network, just raising the awareness in many communities, especially among people of color, to give organs, because that's a real problem. We don't have enough people of color giving organs, and we need to work on that, and that's one of my goals.
The whole reason we're doing this, it's very clear to you if you've been watching over the years, is to increase public awareness around organ and tissue donation. 4,000 people still waiting for an organ in New Jersey, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands around the nation. but people can make a difference themselves.
Oh, they absolutely can. My daughter had AML leukemia and was almost dead and received a stem cell transplant back in November 30th of 11 years ago. She's 11 years afterwards. She's a journalist with a great acclaim, doing very, very well.
A double gift of life.
A double gift of life. So we both celebrate second birthdays. And she was with me during the transplant process for about 2 weeks, teaching me how to live in a hospital because she was there for 5.5 months.
I got to tell you something. As I'm thinking about this, Steve, I think to myself, this guy's got such a positive attitude. He wants to make a difference for other people, and that's exactly what you're doing every day.
Well, I taught my kids that they can't ever sit on the sideline. They have to get involved. They have to support their causes. They have to get a cause and give it everything. And that's the way my wife and I are. We find a cause, we're 100% all in on that cause, because if it's important enough for us to support, it's important enough for us to support it all in.
We're here at the 5K, the New Jersey Sharing Network 5K, with Kelly Bonventre, Hospital Services Manager at the Sharing Network, which means what exactly do you do?
So the role of the Hospital Services Manager is to be the liaison from the Sharing Network to our individual hospitals. We have 55 hospitals and 6 transplant centers in our service area, so it's really important that we build those relationships prior to there being a case for donation. We want to know each other, we want to know the players, we want to know the protocols and the procedures, so it's really, really important that we're in our hospitals on a regular basis, building those relationships, educating the physicians, educating the nurses, educating the hospital staff about organ donation and what the process is when there is an active case.
Is there a process of organ and tissue donation? Is there a or many?
When there's an active case, there is a protocol that is followed.
Describe it.
So each individual hospital has their own what we call brain death policy and brain death checklist. But there is some common threads throughout that, obviously. So if there is an active case, what happens is the hospital staff, usually it's the bedside nurse, the RN that's caring for the patient, that is a potential donor. Once they start meeting certain clinical triggers, they are required by law to call the Sharing Network and report that case to us. That call comes into our donation resource center, which then forwards it to our triage coordinator, who then follows up with the hospital, confirms all of the information that was received on that patient, and then we'll decide how we're going to respond. Based on the patient's medical history and based upon their current status, we'll determine what we're going to do, whether we're going to send somebody, a transplant coordinator, on site right away, or if we're going to follow that patient by phone, or if a person could be actually a medical rule-out by that virtue of that first conversation with the hospital.
Not a candidate.
Absolutely. There are certain medical rule-outs. So we will either follow the patient by phone. If they are under hypothermia protocol, if they are under certain medications, we're not going to get a true neuro assessment if we go on site too soon. So we may follow by phone for every 12 hours. We will call and check on that patient, but we will also ask the hospital staff to call with any critical updates.
Lots of communication, lots of sharing of information, a lot of decision points. By the way, we're talking about the clinical nature of the process. You can hear a lot of the whooping up and people cheering. This is a big race, and people are cheering because the gift of life has been given by some, received by others, and those are the folks in the race, so there's a lot of enthusiasm here.
Absolutely. There are so many moving parts to a case when we do have one. When we say that organ donation is a gift of life, it is truly a miracle. So many pieces have to come together. It's really, really important that hospital staff and Sharing Network staff collaborate and support each other through that entire process. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. Yeah. So even when we do have a consented donor, then we have to work together with our hospital partners to medically manage that patient until we can get to the OR. Once we get consent, we don't go to the OR right away. It's usually a 24 to 48-hour period before we're actually able to go to the OR to do the actual recovery. So that means there's a lot of moving pieces once the consent is obtained, because we then have to allocate the organs. We have to make sure that before we go in to recover those organs, that there is a recipient on the receiving end at that transplant center waiting.
Timing matters.
Timing is crucial.
How rewarding is this for you?
It's amazing. I read a poem when I was 19 years old called To Remember Me by Robert Test.
What was it called again?
It's called To Remember Me by Robert Test. And it put organ donation in such a beautiful light. that it moved me to go to the DMV the very next day and register to be an organ donor. I was 19 in school, not sure what I was going to do.
You went to motor vehicle and did that?
The very next day. And after reading that poem, I thought, oh my gosh, the best job in the world would be to be the person that gets to sit with the family when they have to make that decision, turning the ultimate negative into the ultimate positive, and in the process of losing a life, saving other lives. And in those days, I was 19 a few years ago, that the only role that really was available, you needed to be an RN. And I think nurses are angels among us, and they're very special people, and nursing was not my calling. So I never thought, other than just being an advocate for donation, that it would ever be any bigger part of my life. Until 4 years ago, and I still carried that poem in my wallet when I came for the interview at the Sharing Network. So to me, this is my dream job. This is my passion. This is a calling. I am where God wants me to be. And it takes a lot out of you. Obviously, it's very emotionally challenging, but to see the benefits not just to our recipients, but to our donor families, and for them to share their stories so beautifully and to let us know what it means to them is incredible. It is an honor and a privilege to be able to do this work.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the CAUCUS Educational Corporation, celebrating over 30 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by Hackensack Meridian Health, NJIT, Wells Fargo, PSC&G, the Russell Berry Foundation, Fedway Associates, and by the Fidelco Group. Promotional support provided by Commerce Magazine and by Jaffe Communications. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.
Perfectly orchestrated. In sync with your life. Hackensack Meridian Health is redefining how health and care come together. Because when everything works together, your world gets better. Hackensack Meridian Health. Life years ahead.